feel like a lot of times half the work is just being there, being present, being there on time. And I think this would be appropriate more for Amadou, but I'd like to hear from all of you guys, like how do you deal with those challenges when you're actually on the field and you're trying to get work, you're trying to inspire people, you have the money, you have the resources. Thank you.
It's a process, but you have to deal with it. It's going to take a while for Africans to start doing things, but in the technology side it's different because it's much more exciting, right? When you're a coder, you want to come to work, or you're at home, you code at home. It's a different. Now, I can't speak for the other industries, but my experience with the coders community in Africa, they want to really become the next Zuckerberg, you know? Some of them are slackers, of course, even in the US, but, you know, that's the reality of my work.
Well, I work in the agribusiness field, and of course, you know, some of the challenges that you're talking about, we do experience. I think, kind of going off of what Amadou said, you really just have to focus on the strong leaders and the strong leaders in the community, because I'm not there all the time. So I really have to rely on strong leaders, strong leadership in the cooperatives when I'm not around to make sure, you know, if we are bringing in a ton of shade, that, you know, they're actually working on it and they're following the, you know, the quality control process and they're doing the work. But I honestly haven't found too much issues, and maybe it's because we work with women. I don't know. Just kidding. But I really haven't found too many issues when it comes to getting, you know, the women inspired, because they're looking to do the work. It's work that they're already doing. They're just not being properly, you know, compensated for it. And I also think I have really, really great relationships with the women that I work with.
For me, I'll have to go with what my wife usually do. Whenever we go to Tanzania, we go pretty much maybe twice a year. And whenever you go there and someone doesn't do the right thing, she'll be like, I'm done, I'm out of here. Yeah, no. But I think one of the important things, I think you want to deal with people, particularly in Africa, who actually, they, you know, push it around sometimes. Hard deadlines. I feel like those are the most important thing. Even here in US, if there's no deadline, nothing is getting done. So you gotta make sure there's a hard deadline, that this thing need to be done tonight. And if it's not getting done tonight, someone's getting fired. That's the thing. That's the best way of getting people on their toes. Yeah. So put a deadline. No deadline, nothing's get done. Timeline is deadline.
Let me add two more things that I just thought about. The deadline is exactly what it is, but you tied it to their pay. So yeah, literally that's what we do. When we sign a contract for somebody to work for Coders for Africa for the outsourcing, we specifically in a contract we say you have to deliver 10 tasks a month, right? If you don't pay, if we pay you $2,000 for each task you don't do, you get $100 less. The second thing we did, which was actually better, was we gave an equity in the company. So we say, if they own it, they're actually watching their colleague and say, dude, you didn't show up yesterday, what happened? It's because they want everybody to be part of it. Those two things kind of worked out for us.
Well, thank you for sharing your expertise with us. My name is Ty Conley. My question is in regards to entrepreneurial ventures. So in regards to funding, when you wrote your business plan, did you write it with your target demographic in mind, or were you writing it to a potential investor, whether it's just for startup capital or for floating the company? Like from a funding perspective, how did you approach that? Like you have a great idea, but now it's time to take it to the next level.
When we pitched to the private equity fund in New York, I really, last year, I really had to get, like everything together. And it was, the updates and the changes that I made to the business plan was very much geared towards getting funding. And so when you're thinking about getting funding, it has to come from a financial, numerical, quantitative perspective. That's what funders are looking for. They want to know how profitable you are. They want to know, what your projections are going to be. They want to value the company. And so you really have to, it was less about, hey, I want to help women in Africa. It was more about how are you making money and how can you demonstrate that you're a wise investment for us.
As far as funding for me, pretty much when I had a business plan, nobody wanna fund you. They know that just this guy just wrote some bullshit. Hopefully, hopefully he's gonna get some money. but when I came with the product, then oh, this guy is serious.
So you invested your own money to develop at least the sample?
Yes. I put my own money. I put my own money, nickel and dime, because you basically have almost a different discussion when you actually, when you bring something to the table, as opposed to a pretty nice presentation. Maybe I was going to the wrong investors.
I'll piggyback on what he says. I don't think there's a concept of business plan 2.0. I don't know if you guys heard about it. It's a different model of business plan because, like you said, everything that you write in a traditional business plan most likely don't even apply in a few years.
Right.
So what we do, we realize, okay, Africa is a different model. If you're looking for investors in the US, it takes a lot to convince them. So the only option you have is numbers, right? How much money you made. You have to prove the concept thoroughly. You have to show your network, right? What kind of relationship do you have? Who are your partners, right? The other thing is the team, the actual team that, I'm lucky that I have a solid team, right? So we haven't approached any investors yet, by the way. We want to do this some kind of way further before we do that. Because what we try to do is beyond just making money. It's that conviction Sue was talking about. If you want to be the next Microsoft of Africa, you have to be very strategic. You can't just get anybody's money that way. And I wouldn't even go with a businessman, I would go in with the pitch deck. If they understand what's going on in Africa, they either buy in and then we can later go into the details of the financial things.
Thank you so much for being here. My name is Lee Marie Thompson. I have my startup here at 1776. It's called Netadonna. And my question is for Amadou. For those of us startup entrepreneurs that utilize international resources to get our startups up and running and are looking for options as far as where to go to get our coders, our developers, what is your take on the landscape as far as skill sets, not just the front end, but back end development, for those of us that are currently looking for developers to fill our resource needs?
Is this for a prototype, like an MVP,
No,
or this is a full-fledged product?
This is for the full production version of the product. So say you've already got your prototype and you went somewhere else, and we won't mention where that somewhere else may be. But you're looking for a viable option to take your production version of your product to market. What are the, what's the landscape as far as Africa is concerned?
Do you have any money?
Depends. It depends on the skill set, and it depends on what can be delivered.
Okay, is the product, I have to ask
We don't need to work through the specific details, but
No.
for those of us that are in the startup space,
Right. Okay, so
you know?
I'll give you the whole thing. So if you're a startup and you're only building a prototype to get venture capitalists to come and invest, you can go with anything. You can go to elance.com and get somebody up and running. Once you're ready and they say, all right, we need to see full product, depending on how fast you want to scale your product. If it's, for example, let's say an app that 1,000 people use it and you maybe have 20 concurrent users at a time, all right, you may need certain types of technology, okay? That doesn't require you, for example, to spend a lot of money. At that point, you may hire maybe a couple of Indian developers or somebody from Russia or Coders for Africa. Those are the options. Now, if you're ready to scale this whole thing up, you definitely need some developers in the US and staff, mostly senior developers.
So you, as far as your perspective, you don't think African coders are ready to do that level of development? Or you think there just needs to be a little bit more development, work on that end as far as skill set to get there?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's no structure, there's no well-rounded structure in Africa like it is in India or Silicon Valley. Full-fledged software company that, maybe a few in South Africa, but full-fledged to know these things, to know how to scale app, because they never scaled app in those countries, right?
All right, I would like to thank the speakers for coming. Everyone came here on their own volition, voluntarily. It's really amazing to have these people take their time out of their busy days, out of their busy schedules, that they make money at every hour on. I really thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out and supporting us, to give your vision and to talk about the ideas and the inspiration that led you to achieve those things that you've achieved. It's really amazing. I would like to bring on the team of people that made this happen. You'll introduce them, thank you.
Can we have all the YAC members come here? And I want to just note that Ngozi, are you still here? Ngozi's here from the District of Columbia, Africa Division. If you could stand up. And Semhar is here from Dawn also. So these organizations also work really hard to promote Africa and do great programs.
Hi, I'm Bola Amasori. I'm a journalist, and I am the Media Subcommittee Chair at YABC.
My name is Lydia Nylander, and I'm the chair of the subcommittee.
Hi, I'm Julia Pellegrini. I'm an economist working on African countries on the Linkages Committee of the YAC.
Good evening. My name is Equia Asari, and I am a physician psychiatrist by specialty.
Good evening, I'm Chinadu Nakwe.
That's not fair. Stop it.
I'm a project finance professional, and I also